Hi, this is Dave.
Good morning, Director Mechanic.
Okay, I'm here anyway.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Council Member Louis Vieira, Chairperson of the HART Board of Directors. Please silence all electronic devices for the duration of the meeting. Welcome to the June 2nd, 2025 Board of Directors regular meeting, which is now called to order. The meeting format is hybrid with board members present physically at the HART Administrative Office at 1201 East 7th Avenue, Florida Conference Room, participating via communication media technology. Please stand if you're able to do so and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Cameron Cepeda. Present. Director Hartfield. Director Henderson. Present. Director Hobbs.
Present.
Director King.
Present.
Director Knight.
Present.
Director McAlpatrick. Director Mechanic.
Here.
Director Miller.
Here.
Director Myers.
Here.
Director Niebrook.
Here.
Director Schisler.
Here.
Chair Vieira.
Here.
Director Williams. Director Wallstall. You do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you, board. Next is public comment. And prior to that, we have a statement from our board counsel.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Jan McLean, Board Counsel, Gray Robinson. Just want to read into the record and advise the board, as we do every month, that the members of the public do have the right to speak on any relevant issue during the public comment process, pending legal recourse or prohibited by this board's policy, which prohibits involvement by this board in the normal employer-employee relationship between the CEO and any other employee or employee union member of HART. While the public can address those matters, board members are advised not to discuss them during the meeting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, the HART Board of Directors welcomes comments from citizens about any issue or concern. Your opinions are valued to provide us input. When addressing the board, comments shall not be directed personally against a board member or staff member, but directed at the issues. This provides mutual respect between the members, staff, and the public. The board has set aside a 30-minute period for public comments as stated in HART Board Policy 210-4A. The chair will call on speakers by name in the order in which their requests to speak have been received. When addressing the board, please state your name and speak clearly if you're able to do so. Up to 3 minutes are allowed for each speaker. Please refrain from any discussions on any matter brought up during public comment for board members until all public comment has been completed. Okay, so we have a good number of folks here for public comment. So each of y'all have up to 3 minutes. What I would request is so that we can, again, I don't hold with strict fidelity the 30 minutes just because I don't want to make people wait an hour and a half. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. But I would ask people that you have up to 3 minutes. Doesn't mean you have to exhaust your 3 minutes. So just to let y'all know. Okay, first we have Mr. Charles Loeb.
Charles Loeb, out of Terrace Park. I hope you all remember me from last month with the $5 bills. I did make a report to the secretary about what I did with them, or at least 19 of the 20 of them. All I hope will eventually go back to HART. One thing that got my attention, though, was I went over to the Joe Latina Center, and I gave $20 of it at first, and then another $10 for these. I don't know how many of you all have seen them. These are one-day flamingo passes for the homeless people that they give over by, that the people, the churches give out around here, the Metropolitan Ministries. I was kind of hoping that people here that got the $100, both on the board and the activists they know and everything like that, would consider giving the whole $100 to them. They really need the money to help homeless people. That would not only help homeless people, but would get you some of your money, and would also send the message that I was talking about last month about the idea of liberty. I do not want to use time to get into the idea of liberty, but I do have one other topic today. And that is what I call the contractor's approach toward funding. And that is, there are people here who are opposed to tax, to bringing taxes to the public, and there are people who support the idea. I was thinking maybe, but we all know that we all know that it's hard to ask people for taxes and that HART needs the money. There's no issue about that. I was thinking what you call the contractor's approach, and that is maybe put small amounts of money down on the thing up front and see if the money will actually produce something. If it does, great, you can go to the public later on and get it. The idea maybe would be to pick a figure, okay? Well, let's start with some figures. Like maybe instead of 3/4 of a mil, maybe 3/5 of a mil. Instead of even a half cent, 1/4 of a cent. If the money works, great. That would be the idea. And we would go to the public again because we see that we're producing. And if we don't produce, hopefully it would not be too burdensome to the public. And that hopefully people on both sides, even the people who are opposed to the tax, would maybe at least abstain on this matter. So we can get the idea, let the public make up their mind whether they want to support you or not as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we have Ms. Leticia Jones, and I did want to give a shout out that we have here the former director of the Classroom Teachers Association, Bob Martinez. That's a joke. He's our former Florida governor, our former city of Tampa mayor, and he also was the director of the CTA. But Governor, it's a real honor to have you here, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning, board. Leticia Jones, ATU Local 1593 president. Represent the 600 plus employees that represent the operational division for HART. On May 5th, I came and asked this board for an external audit, external investigation for harassment, bullying, hostility workplace. And that has not yet been done. And it is still being hostile place still is being targeting and all that on some of the operators. Management look as though we don't have the right to complain when it's our safety that is on the line each and every day we get behind the wheel of those buses. It's just a hard place to work at right now. the attendants, drivers and mechanics, they're not coming to work because they want to keep their job, but they don't come because of the stress level that is created by the operational management team. I've tried every avenue that I know how to try, and it is not working. And I think this board has a right, when administration people came and asked you guys for an external investigation on Miss Carolyn High Stewart and Mr. Ben Limmer, you guys launched that. Here's 600 and plus employees is asking for the same request because we deserve to come to work and be treated with dignity and respect. And we have to come to work and be treated worse than a doormat. That's not right. Our suggestion, our comments, it doesn't matter. It's what I say is what you do. No one works like that anymore. So I am really begging this board to step up and think about these 600 plus employees you two supposed to take care of as well. Right now, if you ask me what I see, it's the blind leading the blind, and what happens when we all follow. I have so much respect for Mr. Drainville, but I'm at the point like, we need your help, Mr. CEO. We need your help in operations. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your thoughts. I can't read your last name here, but I have Sarah, and your last name begins with B, and you're with ATU 1593. Bimbo. Thank you. I know. Thank you. I am my mother's son. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Sarah Bimbo. I'm the chief steward for ATU 1593. I never stood here before you all because I never had a reason to, but today I do. 2 years ago, Ambassador Program was introduced to us by our CEO, Mr. Scott Drainville, and our Bobby Edwards. He was then the Director of Transportation. We then introduced the program to you all, the committee and the board. We thought you all liked the program, but evidently we was wrong. About 3 weeks ago, we received the email saying that the program was being suspended. The reason why was because of staffing. I didn't believe staffing because we have more people now that I've seen in my 17 years at HART on both sides, buses and vans. We don't have enough buses or vans now to accommodate all our drivers now. So what's the problem? I didn't understand that. Why was we had one ambassador on buses and 3 for para? Why was it staffing? Our names were never on the roster, so we will never miss. I didn't understand that either. Well, recently, this program went to Congress. All right, it was presented to Congress by our president. We was getting ready to get funded through the program. Matter of fact, the day, June 2nd, our ATU International Apprenticeship Director was on his way down here to fund the program. My question to you all, why would you turn down a program that's bringing money to the organization? I never understood that. I was always taught some money is better than no money. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. Next is Angela Reed with ATU 1593.
Good morning, board. My name is Angela Reed. I represent ATU. I've been a bus operator at HART for 10 years. Throughout my tenure here, we've had a lot of changes in management. It should be for the better, but not make things worse. Communication is vital for building relationships, facilitating teamwork, and resolving conflicts. Our operation managers aren't building healthy relationships. Teamwork doesn't exist, and conflicts are happening almost every day because we have no communication. Our operation managers are rarely on the same page. They say one thing, then do another. Changes will be made at the spur of the moment, but the memo comes weeks later. Our operation controllers and supervisors are all over the place because there's no consistency from management. They are told this today and that tomorrow. Sometimes they're not told anything. We have no structure. New team leaders come in and take on positions we don't even know them or what their positions are until we need to go to them for something, or we see their faces on a monitor. Our interactions with management, which it seems like only comes when there's disciplinary involved, never to check on our well-being or if we have a problem. How do we as employees be better or do better if our operation managers aren't building relationships, are not facilitating teamwork, and not resolving conflicts? I have a question for you, HART. As employees, when did our value start depreciating? When did the real appreciation stop? What happened to when we come to work, we matter?
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. Next is Elvin Marti.
Good morning, HART Board. One second. Okay, I was here last month. My name is Alvin Marte, ATU 1593. I represent customer service. I have a situation in customer service which I keep trying to address. I came to you last month, and I was hoping that would make a difference, at least to have a conversation.
And I'm so sorry, sir. If I may, somebody who's appearing virtually, if you could mute yourself, please.
Can we stop the time?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and begin his time over if you don't mind. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you once again. My name is Elvin Marte, ATU 1593. Sorry about that. On March 31st, we represent the well-being of the employees. That's how I like to see. We negotiated a contract that we think is fair for the employees as well as the authority, right? That's what we do. On March 31st, I had an employee pulled into a meeting with the director and a manager. The employee was verbally told that he would be moved around with a 24-hour notice. There are no extra boards in customer service. I've been the representative for customer service for 10 years. That, to me, is unfair working conditions. If you tell an employee that you're going to move them around within 24-hour notice, but do not create a memorandum or an MOU so we could change it in the contract, it's unfair labor practice. I'm sorry. I did a public record because at this, we had a meeting on the 31st. We reconvened the meeting. We had a second meeting on April 3rd. At the first meeting, I notified them that this was not per contract. On April 3rd, I was told that they were moving forward with it. And here we are. May 14th, I put agreements on this. We have met with the director and the chief prior to this. And I was not notified, me and the president of the union, and I was not notified of any changes in our customer service department. I put agreements on the 14th. It's past 10 days. I'm still waiting on a response. So no public record was given when I requested the new procedure, and no response on the agreements. So like, what's going on? What is the point of us having a union if the authority does what he wants, and then when we put in agreements to try to get common ground, no response. So we've been pushed aside. I'm sorry, that's all I have to say, but I would really like someone to look into this. Help us out, guys. We want to come to work, but we got to be treated with respect and dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Next is Ms. Christy Bruner.
Hello, good morning, Director and Chair. My name is Christy Bruner. I'm the Vice President of Advocacy at the St. Petersburg Area Chamber of Commerce. And we did send over a letter of support from our board chair earlier ahead of this meeting to board members. We are requesting your support in transferring the sponsorship of federal grant from Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Association, HART, to Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, PSTA, with the goal of advancing regional transportation solutions while keeping critical funding within our local area. PSTA has voted to accept the funds and is ready to move forward with this opportunity. Our organization, along with our business community and partners in Pinellas County, strongly support this shift as it aligns with the original vision of the Cross Bay Ferry pilot project, enhancing regional connectivity and promoting additional and innovative transit solutions. By ensuring this funding remains with the region, we can continue building upon the success of our waterborne transit initiatives while fostering economic growth in Tampa Bay. Keeping the grant under local administration will allow us to collaborate with local dock builders, boat builders, operators, therefore driving job creation and economic development within our community. This investment will not only strengthen our transportation network, but also expand business opportunities and solidify the long-term viability of ferry transit as a reliable mobility for residents, visitors, and workforce commuters alike. We value the strong partnership between Hillsborough and Pinellas in advancing regional transportation initiatives and look forward to a collaborative approach in enhancing mobility options across Tampa Bay. We appreciate your consideration and support and look forward to partnering more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. Next is, if I'm reading this right, Yolanda Lancaster. And the next person after this is Ricardo Missick. Hi, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Lancaster. I'm here to speak regarding safety. I've been with HART since March 21st, 2011. And I work the mornings, early morning shift, which is at 4 a.m. And some of the transfer centers like Yukon, Northwest are so dark. We don't have security. We don't have the supervisors present. But the supervisors are present at the main garage on 21st Street to make sure we have destination sign. What is more important, our safety or destination signs? Then when we ask for help, they pick and choose who they help. I'm not saying all supervisors, but I'm saying the majority of the supervisors. All I'm asking for is help, and all we're asking for is help when we leave the garage on 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ricardo Missick is next, followed by Cordy Ismay.
Good morning, esteemed members of the board and everyone here. I don't have enough chance. The time might not able me to read my whole letter. If may allow, can leave a copy with. Thank you. My name is Ricardo Missick. I have been proudly served as a bus operator with HART for the past 10 years. I am here to speak on behalf of myself, many fellow operators who feel voiceless and supported and increasingly hostile work environment. We are facing a deeply concerning pattern of workplace harassment, retaliation, discrimination, and abuse of authority, primarily at the hand of Supervisor Mr. Yuri Chambers. Mr. Chambers has cultivated a climate of fear, repeatedly overstepping professional boundaries, using inappropriate order beyond the scope of our duties, and making remarks that many, including myself, have found to be discrimination and degrading. What makes this behavior especially difficult to confront is the protection Mr. Chambers received from his manager, Mr. Stephen Field. Mr. Chambers frequently boasts about the close, long-standing personal relationship. It's clear this relationship has shielded him from accountability when we are approaching Mr. Field and good faith to address Mr. Chambers' conduct. We were dismissed outright. This exact word where I don't really care what you write or say. I am friend with everyone. And respond to our complaint, we were not met investigation or mediation. Instead, we were punished. Both myself and another operator received a level infraction for allegedly insubordination issued by Mr. Field himself. for their illustration, retaliation, and misuse of authority. When we escalate the matter to Mr. Phil's superior, Mr. Hayward, we hope to find resolution. Instead, we were told that because Mr. Chambers and Mr. Phil are personal friends and from the same place, Mr. Hayward saw no issue with Mr. Chambers' behavior. He explicitly state that as long as Mr. Chambers doesn't put his hand on you, there would be no intervention.
Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, you ran out of time, but your letter is being passed out to all board members.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Next is Cordy Ismay, followed by Casey Bauer.
Good morning, board. My name is Cordy Ismay, and I've been a dedicated employee here for 9 years. I'm bringing this to your attention because I've never experienced anything like the harassment, retaliation, and favoritism that's happening now. And it's putting employees at risk. Supervisor Yuri has been bullying employees, including myself, during bus return to the garage. When I report this to Manager Stephen Field, instead of addressing it, Mr. Stephen Field retaliated by giving me a severe infraction, simply for telling Supervisor Yuri I was already checked the bus. When I bring this to Director Anthony Hayward, he admit favoritism. He confirmed that Manager Stephen Field and Supervisor Yuri has been best friends for years. He then threatened me, saying, if you don't do whatever Yuri asks you, I will personally walk you out the door, said Director Hayward. I bring this to your concern to see if we can make HART better and a safer place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Casey Bauer, followed by our last signed up speaker, Mr. John Green. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Casey Bauer, Tampa Downtown Partnership. The Tampa Downtown Partnership is a leader in fostering a vibrant, diverse, 24-hour downtown in which to live, work, play, and learn. Tampa's downtown is an economic hub that benefits the entire region. Downtown has been key in attracting new residents and businesses to the city and county. Our region's rapid growth has come with tremendous challenges, mainly how our residents and visitors can get around safely and efficiently. Growing congestion threatens the vitality of our downtown and our region. We need to both preserve and expand all the ways to move around the Bay Area. A ferry between Hillsborough County and Pinellas County is a congestion-proof mobility option that will increase economic activity, sales tax revenue, and most importantly, take additional vehicles off our roads. The previous service aligned with Tampa Bay Lightning home games and is a great example of how the system benefits Tampa. Previous passenger surveys have shown that many passengers would not have taken the trip and spent their money here in Hillsborough County and in downtown if not for that ferry service. Our organization strongly encourages the HART Board to authorize the transfer of the grant funding from HART to PSTA. The transfer preserves federal dollars for our region and saves Hillsborough County $1.2 million in matching funds. Rather than risk losing the grant to other communities nationwide, this move ensures that funding stays local and will support a new service that will connect people, jobs, and opportunities across the Bay Area. Thank you so much for your service to this county and for the residents of Hillsborough County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Next is Mr. John Green. And after Mr. Green, is there anyone else who has signed up or here to speak? Yes, there is. Okay, great. How many? Okay, we have, oh, Lorena. Hey, how are you? Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, John Green. Last month, I spoke on this management problem and misappropriating funds is not a community problem. It's not an employee problem. It's a management problem. And one example, maybe two examples, is earlier this year or last year, this administration voted to get rid of buses. We're running a stress system already. If you're running a stress system, and I'm speaking to the terms of misappropriating funds and spending unnecessary funds, if you have buses that you have brought, your system is stressed, why would you sell buses when you can replace runs that's being redlined or taken out of service? If you ride down Hillsborough right now, you'll see 2 buses sitting in the garage. Secondly, you take paratransit, you run it from north to south, but yet you take a contract and $1 million contract and subcontract the work to Yellow Cab and or Uber or Lyft, and now you're about to spend another $4 million when you could take that $4 million or $5 million, buy a couple buses and buy some more paratransit vans. This is not an employee problem, but most of the stress goes on the employees, right? You could sit up here and say they don't read based on the 5-year retirement funding you're holding, probably getting interest of it. You got the $20+ million for the COVID funds that you just took from the employees, but this administration cannot point their fingers at the employees nor the community and then ask us for taxes. It's not fair to the community. It's not fair to the employees, and it's definitely not fair to me because I live in Brandon, and buses hardly come out there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We have 2 more speakers. I have here Mr. Casey Bauer, who's already spoken. We have Lorena Hardwick, followed by Ms. Karen Kress. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chairman and board members. My name is Lorena Hardwick. I am the Chief External Affairs Officer for Feeding Tampa Bay. But today I'm in front of you representing the Tampa Bay Chamber. I have the distinct privilege of co-chairing the Policy Council for the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. And here today on behalf of the Board of Directors and the 1,400 member businesses to express our strong support for the regional business, from the regional business community for the transfer of the USDOT passenger ferry grant from HART to PSTA for the acquisition of a dedicated passenger ferry. This action represents more than a transportation decision. It is a strategic economic imperative. Our region's employers consistently cite workforce mobility and commuting challenges as barriers to growth. With traffic congestion worsening and infrastructure under pressure, businesses are seeking innovative multimodal transportation options to connect talent to opportunity across county lines. And now all of you sitting here really understand the plight of those that are trying to get to and from work and create the economic engines that exist here in our region. Dedicated ferry service between Hillsborough and Pinellas counties offers a practical, cost-effective solution to enhance regional connectivity. And it's a project that directly supports our shared goals, and that is of easing our commuter burden, broadening access to jobs, supporting tourism, and fostering sustainable economic development. As business leaders, we view this project as critical to retain talent, attracting investment, and strengthening the competitive position of the entire Tampa Bay region. We urge you to support this economic investment. Chairman, board members, we appreciate you and we appreciate your leadership and your consideration of a decision that holds a long-term value for our workforce and businesses and the economic vitality of Tampa Bay. Thank you so much for your leadership and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, ma'am. Last, I believe, is Ms. Kress. I didn't see her in the room. Is Karen Kress? Okay. And is that the last speaker? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Next, I have a request to amend the agenda to move up item 4D, which is resolution R20250624 on authorizing section 5307 subsection H competitive grant for the ferry in the amount of $4.863280 million to PSTA to have it occur right now for purposes, I believe, of time of folks who are here. Is there any objection from the board on that? I'm fully supportive of it, but any objections?
No, move for approval.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's move, if I may, then we're going to go to page 6 of this agenda for item 4D. So this is for resolution number R2025-06-24 to authorize transfer of section 5307 subsection H competitive grant 1096-2022-5, that's FTA-2021-006-TPM-Ferry, in the amount of $4,863,280 to Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, PSTA. And I see here we have just in the audience, Mr. Brad Miller with PSTA and former St. Petersburg Councilwoman Darden Rice here and potentially other folks with PSTA. We welcome you guys here. Unless if there's anyone that wishes to speak before a comment, Director King, go ahead, sir.
Sir, with respect, I object to consideration of this motion.
Okay. Do you have any basis for that or just a general objection or?
Well, I think it's a frivolous waste of tax revenue, to be honest. And frankly, considering the fact that the federal government is $3.6 trillion in the hole, I don't see why it's being spent on what amounts to a joyride on Tampa Bay.
And if I may, Mr. King, I'm sorry, I thought you meant procedurally to considering it this time you're substantive. So if I may, and you'll be first to be recognized. Yeah, no, you're fine.
My objection is that if we vote this down now, we don't have to go through all this.
Sure, I hear you. So if I may, let me first recognize Mr. Drainville to go through this, and you'll be the first to be recognized to speak afterwards, sir, if I may.
Sir, you have an objection that's on the floor that requires a vote.
Do you have a motion?
I object to consideration of this motion.
So,
that is a motion in and of itself.
Board Member Myers, go ahead.
I made the motion to move forward.
Okay, I didn't know we required a motion. So how
Yeah,
about
when you
this?
want
So
to
then,
change-
so my
change the
apologies.
agenda,
Okay,
I made the motion to change the agenda, so we should have voted to change.
well
it.
taken, well
Okay.
taken. So
Yeah.
Board Member Miller.
I was going to say, you asked a question. In order to change an agenda, you have to have a motion and a second and a vote.
Well taken. My apologies, Director King. So if I may, is there a motion to move this for consideration right now ahead of the agenda?
Move for approval for right now.
Second.
And if I may, is it for approval or to hear it?
No, to hear it.
Okay, I was going to
To
say,
move it
okay.
up on the agenda.
So we have a
Yes.
motion and then we'll have discussion by Board Member Myers, seconded by Board Member Schisler, Board Member King, if you wish to discuss the procedural issue.
The procedural issue, no, not at this point.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does anybody wish to consider or discuss the procedural issue before us? Okay, so if there is no discussion, we will have a vote. Again, this is not to approve this. This is to move it up in the agenda. So let's do roll call if I may.
Director Cameron Cepeda,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Myers,
Yes.
Director Niebrook,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Vieira,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you, Board. Thank you very much. And again, for the public, that was not to approve the item. That was merely to move it up in the agenda. So Mr. Drainville, you are recognized. And then after the presentation, we'll go and you can go first, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning, board members. So I'd like to introduce and invite to the podium Mr. Brad Miller, Chief Executive Officer of Suncoast, the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, or PSTA. He previously appeared before the board in March and was requested to secure approval from his board of directors before the HART Board reviews the grant transfer. So Mr. Miller, I'd like to recognize you to come up to the podium.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning. Honored to be back here. As Scott mentioned, I was here before you at your March meeting presenting this proposal to have the HART Board approve of transferring a federal grant to PSTA to purchase ferry boats for the Cross Bay Ferry. At that meeting, as those of you who were here, you will recall, there was a request, as Scott just said, for PSTA, for the HART Board wish to hear if the PSTA board would be willing to accept this grant if transferred. I'm back here today, very pleased to tell you that the PSTA board voted last week unanimously. We have a very large board like you do, 15 members, and it voted unanimously to accept this grant, subject to the HART board agreeing to transfer it over to PSTA. With me today is Councilwoman Deborah Figgs-Sanders. She's the chair of PSTA. She's a St. Petersburg City Councilwoman, and very glad for her to be here. As you heard from the speakers, there's a lot of support. The PSTA board has voted unanimously in favor of this. Both the St. Petersburg Chamber and the Tampa Chamber, and both the downtown partnerships of St. Petersburg and Tampa. Again, the idea behind this is that we would bid out the Cross Bay Ferry service to operate again using these boats, and by providing the boats to the vendor, that would dramatically lower the tax subsidies, the local subsidies needed to support the ferry, possibly even eliminate them, so they would not be needed. Commissioner, I know that you at the Finance Committee, which also the HART Finance Committee voted to recommend this as well, expressed those concerns about this not being a good use of federal funds. If the HART Board does not transfer this grant, and if they're not used today, we've been told by the federal government that it'll just be transferred to another ferry grant. It'll stay within the USDOT and be allocated to a different city. It go to Charleston or Seattle or someplace like that in a grant. So again, there's no cost to HART to agree to this transfer, and it is very, very positively supported by the PSTA board.
Thank you, sir. And I'm glad, by the way, Councilwoman Figgs-Sanders. My apologies, I didn't see you there. So I remember meeting you. I think it was at Tanya Lewis's event, if I recall. Yeah, so good to see you, ma'am. So thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, anything further for the presentation? Okay, great. So questions, comments? Director King, go ahead, sir.
Okay, it would now be the appropriate time to object to consideration.
You can make your case. Yes, sir, please.
Well, in and of itself, I don't think this is a very wise use of money. I mean, as I understand it, the ferry would operate about 10 hours a day, and would have at least one ferry, possibly two. It would be a slower ferry than the ferry they did have, and each ferry would only have a seating capacity of around 150 people. If it made 10 trips a day, that would be 1,490 passengers at a revenue of $12 fare per passenger based on the current fare schedule. You're only talking about revenue of $1.5 million a year and no improvement on the traffic flow on the Gandy, the Courtney Campbell, or the Howland Franklin Bridge. It'll have zero impact on regional cross-bay transportation, which we all know that is a hassle on a given day. It basically is essentially a joyride for someone wanting to ride from Pinellas to Channelside or back. And frankly, it's to my mind, it's a waste of tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But the object to consideration doesn't need what I just expressed. Under the rules of parliamentary procedure, it stands on its own, it's not debatable, and it requires an up or down vote. And I think we established last month that we do operate under the rules, Robert's Rules of Procedures.
Okay, and so Ms. McLean, if you could help me out here, I mean, is there a vote needed on Mr. King's objection or Director King's objection, or?
For the objection to be considered, you need to have a vote up or down, and then if it passes, then you could no longer.
Okay, so in other words, so this is a procedural motion to preclude us from considering it, correct? If I'm reading that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we can vote on that. So in other words, Ms. McLean, this is in effect a motion that requires a vote, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. So pursuant to that, and we'll vote on that, sir. Are there any comments? And I know Board Member Sisler had his hand up on this objection.
Excuse me. So that particular action just requires a vote up or down. There's no
Thank you.
discussion.
Okay, great. So let's then take a vote. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Director King, your motion is a motion to preclude us from considering this grant transfer. So a yes vote would be to not even consider it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. Okay, so just if board members are aware, any questions, not substantive comments, but any questions procedural on what we're about to vote on? Ma'am.
I want to be sure I understand the motion. So your motion, what you're saying is not to have any discussion, just vote it up or down?
No, my motion is not to even consider the motion at all.
Excuse me, to consider the item at all. So you did your motion, we moved it up onto the agenda, there was the presentation. At this point, generally, you would have the discussion and consideration of the item. The objection is an action that is stated to not even consider the item.
Right.
So you would take a vote as to whether you would consider it or not.
Right, so no
That's-
vote is to consider, because I think we should consider this item.
A
I
no
mean, I'm
vote?
opposed to what he's
Correct.
asking.
That's right.
So no vote, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so again, for the record, we're voting on something that there can be no debate on pursuant to what I've been told on the rules. So, and again, any questions further? If not, roll call, please. And again, and Director King, please correct me if I'm wrong. A yes vote is to not debate this, right? And to, in effect, reject it. A no vote is to debate it. Just, and Commissioner Miller, go ahead, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Cepeda, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I was just going to discuss something, but I can wait until we discuss unless we need to say now why but no.
So according to what I've been told, we cannot substantively debate this. We can only ask questions on the vote itself procedurally. So if that, Board Member Miller,
Do you have a second, sir?
what do you mean?
You don't have a second on his motion?
It doesn't need a second.
It doesn't require a second?
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. I haven't dealt with this before. I didn't learn this in city council school. So, so go ahead. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Director Cameron Cepeda? No.
Director Henderson,
No.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
No.
Director Mechanic,
No.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Myers,
No.
Director Niebrick,
No.
Director Schisler,
No.
Chair Vieira.
No.
The motion does not pass.
Okay. Okay, now, council, or strike that, I'm sorry, HART Board, we go back to substantively debating this, and I believe, unless if Director King wasn't finished, okay, yes, sir, thank you, that we have Board Member Schisler and anyone else, just raise your hand, and if anyone is out there in virtual land, please let me know. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in favor of the transfer. As I understand it, these monies will go somewhere. We might as well have them go in our region where they benefit all of us in our region, even however minimal, they'll still be a benefit to the region. And I'd rather go here than Seattle or Poughkeepsie or any other place in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Myers.
Thank you. And I do echo Councilman comments. Our region is much stronger when we work together. And this is a perfect project to be transferred to PSTA because we know HART is not in the business of operating a ferry. But if we can transfer it and stay in the region, we do have activities when we have the Buccaneers game, the Lightnings, and any other people want to go back and forth to St. Pete for lunch or what have you. They use the ferry. They catch the ferry right behind the convention center. And so when we transfer this is still an asset that will stay in our region. We have PSTA who wants to take over. And I'm going to make a motion to approve for PSTA to move forward with this project.
Okay, and before we go to the next comment, do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Board Member Schisler. Before Director Hobbs, Board Member Cepeda first was asking to be speak, so I apologize. Go ahead, ma'am, and then Hobbs. Go ahead.
Yes, I completely understand, Director King, what you're trying to say, and, with the debt that we have there right now in the federal government. However, if they are planning to move this money to another region, I would prefer to keep this in our Tampa Bay region. So for that reason, I'm going to support transferring this funds over.
Thank you,
Keep
ma'am.
this in our
Oh,
region. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, couple questions just so I can have complete clarification on this thing.
Mhm.
So first, so we would basically be the pass-through and transfer the funds to them. So that means that we would have nothing to do with this whole project after it's over. So no money. We don't owe anything on maintenance of the vessels, staffing, anything. So we are complete 100% pass-through. Is that accurate?
I have an answer, but he has a better answer. Go ahead.
So that is correct. Mr. Miller and myself met with the FTA, and once the transfer is completed, it would go to them, and I would have no accountability or no responsibility for this grant afterwards.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Anyone in virtually? Oh, go ahead, sir. Director King.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to point out that maybe the FTA is a better judge of how this money could be spent and wisely used than we are. And perhaps it ought to go back through their allocation process and shouldn't be an indirect handoff to our neighbor to the east-west.
The what? Oh, yes, sir. Were you finished, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. CEO Drainville, then Board Member Knight, and anyone else? Go ahead, sir.
And thank you, Chair. And just for clarity, once this transfer is approved by both boards, it still has to go back to the FDA, and the FDA will decide whether the transfer is legitimate or not. So it still has to go back to the FDA to make a decision on if we can do this.
Go ahead, sir.
And again, thank you. Pretty much the sentiment of other board members, like we always discuss. HART don't have anything to do with it. We're just transferring it over out of everything, and I think that's the best thing, and I'm supporting pass it on.
Thank you. Anyone else? Board Member Myers.
Call for the vote.
Yes, ma'am. And let me, if I may, make the last, I always go last. I'll make my comments, if I may, on this. So a couple of things. What I said last time that this got brought before us is divest and preserve, which is it divests this issue from HART of the ferry, on which there's a diversity of opinions, but then it preserves the dollars locally in our Tampa Bay region. I think that to me is the winner right there. It keeps it in the region. And again, as was indicated, it's just going to go to another area for that same use. So I just don't see that. With regards to the issue on their debt, I think it stands at about $34 trillion. And we could, talk about that for days. I have very strong opinions on that. But to me, this is not the venue to talk about our national debt, because what we do here, in my opinion, will have no bearing on that. These few $1 million are going to have no bearing on it, because it is going to be spent, and might as well keep it locally. That I think the greater good 10-1 goes for supporting it. So unless if there's any further comments, yes, sir, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, my apologies. Vote.
Director Cameron Sapita.
Yes.
Director Henderson.
Yes.
Director Hobbs.
No.
Director King.
No.
Director Knight.
Yes.
Director Mechanic.
Yes.
Director Miller.
No.
Director Myers.
Yes.
Director Niebrook.
Yes.
Director Schisler.
Yes.
Chair Vieira.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you, board. Okay, next we go to approval of minutes. Next agenda item is approval of the meeting minutes from the May 5th, 2025 Board of Directors regular meeting, which are included in the board packet. Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Motion by Board
Second.
Member Myers, seconded by Board Member Schisler. A roll call, please. unless there's any discussion. Go ahead.
Director Cameron Cepeda,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Myers,
Yes.
Director Niebrick,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Vieira.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Action X is action items with presentation. The HART Finance and Audit Committee met on May 19th of 2025 and recommended approval of action items 4A and 4B. First is Resolution R2025-06-21, which is approval of proposed program of projects and authorization of the CEO to apply for and accept all fiscal year 2025 Federal Transit Administration FTA funding. To our CEO, Drainville, you are recognized to provide an overview, sir.
Thank you, Chair. So HART receives federal funding through the Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, which is used for operating expenses and capital projects. Annually, the HART Board of Directors authorize the CEO to execute the FTA applications and receive funding. Additionally, the FTA Section 5307 grant programs have special requirements related to identifying the specific list of projects or program of projects and public participation. I would like to invite Ms. Melanie Williams, Director of Budget and Grants, to the podium again to walk us through the FTA requirements for development and approval of the program of projects.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair, members of board, and Mr. Drainville. My name is Melanie Williams, Director of Budgets and Grants, and today I will present two presentations related to the development of the FY26 budget. As Mr. Drainville said, that each year we receive 3 formula grants from the FTA, and Section 5307 is the grant FTA requires us to develop a program of projects, which is a list of projects funded by the grant. This presentation and action item is for the FY25 proposed program of projects. The presentation overview includes the FY26 budget calendar, the FTA formula grant programs and factors, the apportionment of Section 5307 federal funds, the proposed program of projects, public outreach, other federal funding, and then the board action item. This is the budget calendar. On May 19th, we presented 2 presentations to the Finance and Audit Committee, the FY26 proposed operating budget, capital plan, and capital budget, and the presentation of the FTA Section 5307 programs and projects. FTA requires a public hearing on Section 5307 programs and projects, and that public hearing was conducted on May 29th. Today, June 2nd, we will ask for board action for these 2 presentations I am presenting today. We have 2 presentations in August, one on August 4th to the board, where we will give an updated budget presentation focusing on the service plan. And then on August 18th, we will present a budget presentation to the Finance and Audit Committee, focusing on the capital plan and capital budget. Finally, in September, we will have 2 required public hearings, one on September 8th, the first public hearing where the board adopts the tentative millage rate and tentative budget. And then on September 22nd, we have the second and final public hearing where the board adopts the final millage rate and final budget. As mentioned earlier, HART receives 3 formula grants. Each year, the federal appropriations is allocated to the Tampa-St. Petersburg urbanized area. The allocation is split between 3 transit agencies: Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, PSTA, Hillsborough Transit Authority, HART, and then Pasco County Public Transportation, PCPT. HART was allocated $23,506,841 for the urbanized area, Section 5307, $1,153,993 for the state of good repair, Section 5337, and then $1,718,163 for the bus and bus facility for Section 5339. This slide was included in response to a question in the Finance and Audit Committee. Do you want me to continue? Okay, all right. This slide was included in response to a question from the Finance and Audit Committee regarding how the allocation was calculated. This is the breakdown of the factors. We have the factors for the top 3 factors that includes the section of the grant that's applicable to each factor. We have the bus revenue, vehicle miles, the population, and the population density. The other factors included is the bus incentive, low income, fixed skyway revenue, vehicle miles, and route incentive, the high intensity fixed skyway and motor bus directional route miles and vehicle revenue miles. Right. This is a breakdown of the allocation based on the 5307 FTA factors. As you see, that we're looking at the population, HART received a greater amount than PSTA at 5,490,674. Property density, Hillsborough HART received a lesser amount of $3,199,769. And then bus revenue miles, HART received a lesser amount at $5,920,587, and then the other factors at $3,053,478. Overall, HART received 41.9% of the allocation at $23,506,841. The Section 5307 is the largest formula grant received from FTA. To receive the grant, FTA requires us to develop a list of projects funded from the grant. And here is a list of projects. We have the total operating projects is $19,666,052. And then we have the list of the capital projects at $3,840,789. with a grand total of $23,506,841. FTA also requires public participation in the development of the programs and projects. Here is a list of the communication methods that we use to the public. The public outreach concluded with the public hearing on May 29th. HART did not receive any public comments during the public hearing. There were 2 attendees who asked staff questions related to service and the heavy maintenance facility. In addition to the 5307 grant, HART received State of Good Repair, Section 5337, over 99% of that allocation, with high intensity motor bus at $196,241. And then the fixed skyway, which is a streetcar, is at $957,752. With a total distribution for Section 5337 at $1,153,993. Also received is the bus and bus facilities, section 5339 at $1,718,163 at 43.1% of the allocation. This brings us to the committee action item, where approval of the proposed program and projects, POP, and authorization for the Chief Executive Officer to apply for and accept all FY 2025 Federal Transit Administration FTA funding. And that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. Any comments or questions? Okay, if there are none, may I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Move to approve resolution R 2025-06-21.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by council member, or strike that, board member Schilsler, seconded by board member Myers. Unless there's any discussion, roll call, please.
Director Kama Cepeda,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Myers,
Yes.
Director Niebrook,
Yes.
Director Schizler,
Yes.
Chair Viera,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to be discussing Resolution R2025-06-22 to approve fiscal year 2026 proposed budget and authorize the CEO to submit the approved proposed budget to Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, and our City of Temple Terrace. CEO Drainville, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chair. So HART is required to submit a proposed budget to the governing legislative bodies to each member of the authority on or before July 1st, 2025. The proposed budget was developed and reviewed by the Finance and Audit Committee at the May 19th meeting. Ms. Williams, you're recognized to present.
Good morning again.
Morning.
Okay, this is the presentation for the discussion of the FY26 proposed operating budget, proposed capital budget, and five-year capital plan. This proposed budget, which is considered our base budget, is subject to change based on the feedback from the board. There will be budget deliberations over the next several weeks, and then the final budget will be presented to the board for approval in a public hearing tentatively scheduled for September 22nd, 2025. This is the agenda for today's discussion. We have the FY26 budget development calendar, the budget legislation from the HART Charter, budget assumptions for revenues, projected service, projected budget assumptions for expenses, proposed operating budget, and then we have the five-year capital plan for summary and detail, the proposed FY26 capital budget for summary and detail, the fund reserves, and then the action item / resolution. This slide summarizes the committee and board meetings scheduled for consideration of the FY26 budget. On May 19th, we presented to the Finance and Audit Committee the FY26 proposed budget, operating, capital plan, and capital budget. And then also on May 19th, we presented the FTA Section 5307 programs of project. And today, June 2nd, we will ask for board action for the two presentations I'm presenting today. If necessary, on June 16th, we will ask the Finance and Audit Committee to consider proposed amendments to the FY25 operating and capital budget. The charter requires public hearing for any budget amendments. If necessary, on July 10th, we will conduct a public hearing on the proposed amended FY25 operating and capital budget. Then on July 21st, we will ask board approval for the amended FY25 operating and capital budget Also, on July 21st, we will ask board action on the proposed millage rate, rollback, and date of public hearing. 2 presentations are in August. August 4th, we will ask August 4th to the board, we would give an updated budget presentation focusing on the service plan. And then on August 18th, we would present the budget presentation to the Finance and Audit Committee, focusing on the capital budget and plan. And then finally, on September 8th, we will have the first public hearing where the board adopts tentative millage and tentative budget. And also on September 22nd, we will have the second and final public hearing where the board adopts the final millage and final budget. The next 3 slides are inserts from the charter. This slide shows section 1, budget preparation. It states that the proposed operating and capital budget should be submitted to the Board of Directors on or before June 15th of each year. Next slide, section 4, member approval. HART is required to submit an approved proposed budget to the members of HART, which includes Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, and the City of Temple Terrace on or before July 1st of each year. Section 5, budget hearing. HART is required to present the proposed budget to the board for approval in a public hearing. Before I get into the details of the budget, this is an overall budget summary of the FY26. The overall increase is 7%. The Avalon is a 5% increase. For the proposed expenses, we have operation contract services, an increase of 26%. Fringe benefits and healthcare, an increase of 9%. Parts and supplies, a 9% increase. The fuel and oil is this 8% decrease, and the administrative other is a decrease of 11%. So the proposed FY26 budget for operating is $125,221,631. The proposed capital budget is $74,463,155, with the total of the FY 2026 proposed budget at $199,684,786. Getting into the budget assumptions for revenue, the Avalon tax revenue is based on the proposed millage rate of 0.5 mils. It is estimated that $85,897,138 of revenue. By statute, HART could only budget at 95% of the Avalon proceeds. Therefore, the budget assumption is $81,602,281, and that is a 5% increase or a $3.8 increase. There are no funds budgeted to be transferred to the capital for FY26. Now, this slide was added in response to the committee discussions regarding the Avalon for the historical and proposed Avalon revenue. This slide shows the fiscal year, the Avalon taxes to be levied, the Avalon budgeted at 95%, the Avalon collected, and then we have the prior year change for the budgeted and the prior year change for the actual with the percentages. Looking at FY 2024, as you see here, we budgeted at 11.45% increase, and then that we actually received 11.666 increase. And then FY 25, we budgeted at a 6.66% increase, and we're projecting at a 5.32% increase. And then at the FY 2026 proposed, we are budgeting at a 5%, and then we have a 5% actual that we projected. Budget assumptions for the grants. Federal operating grants at $21,816,708. We have the state operating grants at $7,963,611. The fair pass revenue at $9,720,864. Local contributions at $2,491,250. Advertising income at $1,500,000. Other income, $251,823. Tampa Historic Streetcar at $2,484,624. Interest income, $1,466,320. There are no funds budgeted to be transferred to the operating reserves in FY26. The fund balance transferred to capital, $4,075,850, and this amount will be used to fund capital projects or local match to the capital projects. So this is the proposed service for FY26. We have with all three modes, the fixed route, the paratransit, and the streetcar. The total revenue miles projected at 10,208,934. We have the revenue hours at 800,100. The ridership at 13,262,124. Next is the budget assumptions for the expenses. We have salaries and wages at $58,353,553, and that is based on 814.75 FTEs. Then we have the fringe benefits at $14,785,081, and you'll see the description what those expenses include under fringe benefits. Then we have healthcare at $14,004,853. Operational contract services at $12,743,504. Parts and supplies at $6,790,035. We have the fuel at $4,770,857. Administrative other at $3,520,514. The administrative contract services at $2,111,608. Legal services at $595,750. Utilities at $1,376,008. Marketing and printing at $527,737. And taxes and fees at $605,034. The next two slides summarize the operating budget. Included in the budget is the plan for FY27 and FY28. This is a balanced budget. So the total revenues is $125,221,631. Then we have the operating expenses. Again, this is a balanced budget. So the total operating expenses is $125,221,631. Yeah. The HART Board policy requires a minimum of a 90-day reserve of operating expenses. So the FY26 proposed operating budget, as stated, was $125,221,631, and the FY26 required reserve based on the operating budget is $30,876,567, and as of October 1st, we project that the balance should be $39,439,546. So this is a schedule of all the reserves where we have the current at 48.7 million. Then we have the projection as of 10/01/2025 at 47 million. And then we have the total of the projections for the end of fiscal year 26 at 47 million also. So this is the proposed 5-year capital plan, which totals 326,974,611. The first year of the capital plan is the capital budget. So FY26 capital budget is 74,463,155. We have for FY26 capital plan at 66,699,929. FY28, the capital plan is 71,459,521. FY29, 67,017,800. And FY2030 at 47,134,206. With again, the total for the 5-year capital plan is 326,974,611. The next several slides list the detail of the capital plan. And the first category within the capital plan is the vehicles and maintenance total. And that total for the 5-year capital plan is 113,630,380. Then we have facilities and construction at a 5-year capital plan at 145,972,268. Technology, 5-year capital plan is 10,070,262. Then we have bus stops and shelters for the 5-year capital plan, 24,882,889. We have the BRT at $30 million for the 5-year capital plan. We have, which is a bus rapid transit at $30 million. Then we have the planning and studies at a 5-year capital plan at $500,000. And then safety and security total at $1,918,812. With again a total 5-year capital plan of $326,974,611. As stated before, the first year of the 5-year capital plan is the capital budget. So this slide summarizes the FY capital budget with the revenue sources and then the capital projects. And again, this is a balanced budget at $74,463,155. Looking at the revenue sources for the first discretionary grants at $30,093,025. And these discretionary grants are grants that we must apply and compete to receive the funds to complete the project. Then we have the capital reserves at $2,787,054. Then we have the Florida Department of Transportation, or FDOT, at $2,924,503. And the next several revenue sources are from federal funds, with the first one community project funding at $1,602,608. Then we have the bus and bus facility, Section 5339, at $3,073,297. Then we have the state of good repair, Section 5337, at $1,257,200. We have a Section 20005B, that's a planning grant at $300,000. Then we have the Federal Highway Administration at $21,890,759. And then last, we have the FTA urbanized area, the Section 5307 at $10,534,709. With the total, again, balanced budget, with the total revenues at $74,463,155. And then you see that the capital projects with the capital expenditures balance the budget at $74,463,155. So the next several slides is a list of the list of projects in the capital budget in detail. So for the FY26 capital budget, the vehicle and maintenance total is $33,424,218. The facilities in construction, the total is $25,263,027. Technology total is $6,262,000. The bus stops and shelters, $8,082,889. Then we have the planning and studies total at $500,000. And then the safety and security total at $1,192,759, with a total capital budget at $74,463,155. And this brings us to the action item today to approve the FY 2026 proposed budget and authorize the Chief Executive Officer to submit the approved proposed budget to Hillsborough County, the City of Tampa, and the City of Temple Terrace. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. Or is there any questions or comments? If so, if not, may I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion by Board Member Meyer, second, I believe, by Board Member King. Roll call, please.
Director Cameron Cepeda,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Myers,
Yes.
Director Niebrick,
Yes.
Chair Vieira,
Yes.
Director Schisler.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And by the way, I don't think we'll be here till then, but I have to leave around 12:15 for a family thing. I doubt we'll be here, but just to put that out there. Next, the HART Board of Directors will receive presentations from the top 3 firms who submitted proposals for the federal, state, and regional legislative consulting and government relations services. Mr. Drainville, please introduce this agenda item.
Thank you, Chair. So Ms. Kathy Zickerfuss, Director of Procurement and Contracts, will outline the process for the board to receive the presentations from the representatives from Gray Robinson, Holland and Knight, and Shoemaker and Partners. The proposals from the firms were previously provided and are also at the seats this morning for everyone's reference. Each presenting firm will have 10 minutes for presentations and 5 minutes for Q&A. Ms. Zickerfuss, you are recognized.
If I could, Mr. Chair, before Ms. Nickelfish starts. Jan McLean, Board Counsel with Gray Robinson. I will be not present at these presentations, and our internal counsel, Brenda Bailey, will be sitting in advice for the board.
I know, that's bad.
Good morning, Board Chair,
Morning.
Board members, and Mr. Drainville. On March 3rd, HART Board approved this strategy for procurement of legislative consulting and government relations services, followed by an appointment of an ad hoc evaluation committee to oversee the selection process. Staff then prepared the solicitation for review by the ad hoc prior to its release. A single solicitation for federal, state, and regional legislative consulting and government relations services was issued and open for the public responses from all interested parties. The solicitation was posted on HART's website, and Demand Star was published on Bonfire, and legal ads were published in La Gaceta, Tampa Tribune, and Florida Sentinel. 24 firms downloaded the solicitation. On April 24th, 7 timely proposals were received and reviewed by procurement for responsiveness. On May 6th, the ad hoc committee evaluation team comprised of 2 HART staff members and 1 HART Board of Directors met to evaluate the technical factors of the proposals received. The weighting of the technical proposals were qualifications of the firm and/or team was 25 point maximum. Experience and references was 30 points. Project approach and methodology to services was 25 points. Current and project workload of the firm was 20 points. Best and final offers were requested from the top 3 firms. Let me give you the breakdown. So Holland and Knight went from the 13,500 for the 3-year base and the 2 1-year options. Their best and final was then 13,000 for the 3-year base and 13,500 for the 2 1-year options, with a total 5-year of $792,000. Gray Robinson submitted a best and final. Their base, 3-year base, monthly price was $13,250. And then the 12-month option year 1 and option year 2 was $13,250 for a total 5-year contract not to exceed value of $795,000. And Shoemaker Advisors did not make any changes in their best and final. So there's monthly for the 3-year base is $11,500. And then for the first 12-month option, it's $12,250 and per month. And the second option is $13,000. If you look right below the pricing, you see the technical scores. So going from left to right, Holland and Knight was top technical at 95.67. Gray Robinson was second technical high at 92 points. And Shoemaker Advisors was 91.33. Okay, so like Scott said in his overview, there'll be a presentation from the top 3 firms. Each of the presentations will be 10 minutes, and then you'll have 5 minutes of Q&A time. And then the board will deliberate and then approve resolution 2025-06-23. Any questions? Okay. Ms. Bailey's going to introduce the firms and the presenters. Thank you.
Good morning. First up, you will hear from Gray Robinson. At this time, we will receive Christopher Dawson, John Ariel, Tom C. Feeney, Blair Hancock, Kevin Joe Jurst, please forgive me, Chris McConnell, Kylie Anzueto, Carlacia Collins, Angela Drewicki, Ryan Matthews, Robert Stewart, Nikki Day, Jeffrey Gibson, Kristen Gray, and David Smith.
Good morning, Chair Vieira, members of the board. Chris Dawson on behalf of Gray Robinson. It is a pleasure to be with you all on this now very rainy Monday morning, but we are thrilled to have the opportunity to present this fully integrated team of federal, state, and local disciplines with a significant history here in the Tampa Bay region and with HART. We're actually going to begin our presentation with an introduction from our federal team who is joining us via virtual link. So John Ariel will lead from here.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to visit with us this morning. My name is John Ariely. I'm the managing shareholder at Gray Robinson's team in Washington, D.C., and Blair and I are representing our federal team this morning. With decades of combined experience navigating some of the complexities on Capitol Hill, our bipartisan federal team offers an unparalleled expertise in federal transportation and appropriations policies. As your federal team lead, I will bring 30 years of hands-on experience on Hill experience regarding appropriations, hopefully ensuring our deep institutional knowledge and the trusted relationships that we have across both chambers of Congress and within the administration. Tom Feeney brings 15 years of distinguished service, including his tenure as a member of Congress, providing invaluable legislative insight with a proven track record of bipartisan coalition building. And my colleague Blair Hancock her experience as a senior member of Trump administration 1.0 has a very strategic perspective on executive branch priorities and regulatory processes. Finally, Chris McConnell, who complements our team with a robust history of bipartisan work, fostering relationships that bridge political divides and drive results. Together, we played some critical roles in some of the major transportation reauthorization bills in Congress over the years we've served there, and have cultivated very strong relationships with influential members on committees of jurisdiction that will help the team. As the landscape continues to shift with the announcement of Trump 2.0 appointees, Blair's relationship with those 1.0 alumni and our network includes great ties to people such as incoming FTA Administrator, former Congressman Mark Molinari, Nicole Nason, who's the former FHWA Administrator and now is a Sherpa for the administration's nominees. And she brings us close relationships with the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy. We're ready to leverage that deep knowledge and bipartisan credibility and strategic relationships to advance your interest in the ever-evolving federal appropriations and transportation arena. And thank you for your time. Look forward to any questions you may have, and I'll turn it back over to Chris.
Thank you, John. Likewise, in Tallahassee at the state level, you'll find decades of experience on the Gray Robinson team proposed before you. I would serve as your state team lead along with Robert Stewart, who would be my co-lead at the state level. We would be joined by Kylie Anzueto from the Orlando office, a young and energetic member of our team. Carlisha Collins in our Tallahassee office, who has decades of experience serving within the legislature in both the Senate President's office and the Speaker's office. Angela Drzwicki from the Tallahassee office with over a decade of appropriations experience, including a significant representation throughout Tampa Bay, and then rounded out by our partner Ryan Matthews, who also has several decades of experience and is also a former DEP secretary. Here at the local level, you would get to see me again, based here in the Tampa office, and I would work with some of our local partners here on regional representation. Nikki Day is part of our team. She has several decades of experience in local government law. She is board certified, and she also has over 10 years of outside counsel experience to transportation entities like PSTA and TBARTA. Jeff Gibson, another excellent member of our regional team, again, decades of experience of local government representation and currently serving as outside counsel to Hillsborough County Public Schools. Kristen Gray joins the regional team based here in Tampa, also a young and energetic member who is part of our local government representation. And then lastly, of course, our good friend David Smith, who has a storied history here in Tampa Bay and a rich history with HART. Team lead, again, I would be the quarterback for the team, not only serving on the state and local teams from a subject matter expert role, but also being quarterback or air traffic control. Always fun to have a full slide dedicated to bragging on yourself. But what I'll touch on here is I do have a technical background in civil engineering, having 2 civil engineering degrees. So I not only have decades of experience in government affairs, but have a rich technical background in engineering, transportation, mobility, and smart future design credentials. I'm now going to hand it over to Robert Stewart to talk a little bit more about the firm.
Thank you, Chris, and good morning, everybody. Great to be with you. As Chris said, I'm Robert Stewart. I've been with the firm since 2006, so about 19 years. The slide that was all of my accolades got lost in the development of this, I think. But what I do want to talk about a little bit is just the firm itself. So founded in 1970, We've had a bulkhead here in Tampa for 25 years, since 2000, when we merged with the Shackelford Farrier firm, which goes back obviously even more decades than that. So we've had, Tampa has been a part of our roots really for the better half of our time as a law firm. 250 lawyers and professionals statewide. Practicing in the government, in the local government space for really all of those years. When our firm was founded in 1970, Charlie Gray was the city solicitor for the city of Orlando at the time. And so representing local governments, working with local government and quasi-governmental entities has really always been in our DNA. And it's something that we're super proud of. Lots of relationships with cities and counties and local government entities across the state, including representation of Florida Association of Counties, League of Cities, and many others that have great synergy with what HART is going to need and want over the years ahead. And what I will add to that is bringing to the table a state, federal, and local practice like we do. We've gone to great lengths to ensure that there's synergy between all those practices. We have weekly check-ins with our federal team on all things that they're working on, and the state teams and the local teams for all of our clients, but that would be particularly true for HART, to make sure that we're all working seamlessly together. There has never been a time, I would say, in Florida history when having that synergistic relationship between the state and the federal practices is so important. 28 members of the congressional delegation now in Florida. The overwhelming majority of those served at some time in Tallahassee in one role or another. And so having that integration of relationships between the state and the federal practice becomes really important. We like to say that we thrive at the intersection of the law and politics. That's where Gray Robinson is at our best for our clients and where we think we bring the most amount of value. And as I mentioned, when Charlie Gray was city solicitor and he started our firm, one of the things he said back then that we still repeat today and remains true is that when you build your community, you build your firm. So when we plant offices or when we establish offices in all these locations around the state of Florida, we do so with an eye towards civic, political, corporate engagement in a way that we are part of the community, not just a law firm that happens to be there, but we're integrated within that community. And that's really important to us as we grow. A few of our accolades that you can see there on the next slide. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to John Ariali to talk a little bit more about our federal practice in detail.
Actually, I might take the lead here. Good morning, everyone. Blair Hancock with the DC team. I understand we have limited time this morning to review all of our federal experience, but I just wanted to take a few moments to highlight some relevant work we've done for electric bus transit and infrastructure modernization on behalf of the city of Tallahassee. So in fiscal year 23, Gray Robinson helped secure $20.4 million from the Department of Transportation's Buses and Bus Facilities Grant Program. This funding allowed the city to purchase battery electric buses, install charging infrastructure, and implement a workforce training program. But perhaps the most significant aspect of this I want to leave you with, besides the $20.4 million figure, is that we were able to position this project as the top request in the entire state of Florida. So that federal funding round, the city of Tallahassee was the only entity in the state to receive that federal funding. Another federal funding, if we could just go back, Chris, still in Tallahassee. Thanks so much. Another federal program that I'm sure many of you are familiar with is the RAISE grant program through the Department of Transportation. And we've had success in this program as well, helping the city of Tallahassee secure $15 million for that. And we're able to have this level of success, one, because we know these opportunities are forthcoming, which allows us to have ample planning time. So often organizations like HART do not know the timing and cadence of the federal funding processes. So that's why we provide monthly reports specifically tailored to our clients' interests, ensuring that nothing slips through the cracks and that your already talented workforce has enough time to prepare detailed and competitive grant submissions. Additionally, as John mentioned earlier, we understand the inner workings of the executive branch. We know the internal processes, who is reviewing applications, what they are looking for, and the aspects that they are prioritizing in their review process. And so lastly, in the event our clients are unsuccessful in obtaining grants, our team will request one-on-one intel briefings and understand exactly why that submission was unsuccessful and obtain feedback to position that request for the next year for greater likelihood of funding, federal funding. And I'll turn it back over to Robert.
Yeah, and I'll breeze through these next couple of slides just to make sure we have Kylie and Carlicia get a chance to say hello to you. But our experience in the transportation space is robust, including in the public transit space. So currently, we represent many transportation-related interests here in the Tampa Bay region and around the state of Florida, including Metroplan, the Hillsborough County Aviation Authority, and others. And we would, of course, bring that experience and that expertise to the table for HART. And Metroplan in particular, I'll mention Angela and Ryan on our team have led on that effort for many years and have done a great job in understanding and executing upon a plan for regional transit authorities or for metropolitan planning authorities. And then, of course, we have relationships going back the years. We used to represent PSTA. Many years ago, we represented Lynx in Central Florida in years past. And we would bring that all to the table in partnership with HART.
Yeah, lastly, we'll bring up Carlicia and Kylie to touch just a little bit on our relationships and process, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Good rainy morning. Sorry, we'll be really quick because I know our time is short. I know they already said this, but just breeze through it again. We have 15 offices in Florida and 1 in DC. Our newest one is in Pensacola. We're really proud of that. I went to the opening of that last month. We have a lot of diverse backgrounds within our group. We have local connections, state and federal, and the positive about us is that we get engaged in the community. Are you stopping me? Okay, then I'll stop it. I'll let Kylie go to the next slide. Go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Lastly, I'll just touch on, I'm Kylie. We'll work with you guys, the HART professionals and the board members to create a legislative agenda. We'll take that agenda, make sure that we work with the local and state, federal advocates to make sure they're championing your priorities. And then we'll work and make sure that those priorities are top of mind with staff, leadership, other legislators. Simultaneously, we'll be tracking and reporting those priorities and any relevant legislative matters. And then separately, we'll be doing legislative recaps and legislative previews on any issues or priorities that we believe will best serve the HART Foundation.
So questions.
Sorry, we had to run through that one.
Do you guys have any questions possibly for the team?
And if I may, are you taking the questions, ma'am, or do I run? Okay.
You, please.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, because it was unclear. Board Member Miller.
My question is just procedurally, we'll go through all three. Will we have the option to call them up for questions if we had like a follow-up question after?
Sure,
Okay.
we can do that. Absolutely. Any other one? Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Yes,
this
sir.
morning.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. Next, I think I do this. Do I? Okay. Next, we have representatives from Holland and Knight. You guys are recognized.
Chair Vieira and members of the board, I'm delighted to be here with you, and you've got a very busy morning, and I'm sure you've got much more to do. And coming here from my office downtown Tampa, I was reminiscing to myself that 45 years ago this year, I created the Transit Authority as mayor of the city of Tampa, implementing what the legislature had authorized to do. Appointed the first board, transfer money from the city of Tampa to the Transit Authority since they had no money of its own at that time. And a year later, I went to referendum and passed the first half mil for the Transit Authority. So it's been a long ride with the Transit Authority. I'm with Holland & Knight. I'm a senior policy official. The firm's over 100 years old. Over 2,000 people work for the lawyers and policy people work for Holland & Knight. We have a huge office in Washington, D.C., just dedicated to government services, and another office for the legal work. Huge office in Tallahassee as well. We've had the pleasure, the honor of representing Transit HART for a good number of years now, and I think the results have been good for HART. This is a dedicated team. Holland & Knight started in Tampa. I guess I was one of the first riders. I'm the only one in this room that had really rode in a real streetcar, the original transit system for the city of Tampa. So that's how far back I go with public transportation in the city of Tampa. We would be honored to continue to represent you. I think we have the resources. We have a back office that supports all of us who engage in the government process. And this is what I think you need. You need relationships, you need research, you need to be ahead of the game, not chasing the game. And I think our firm is ahead of the game when we represent our clients. And I want to call up here Lisa Barkovich to make a representation for the federal government.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lisa Barkovic. I'm a senior policy advisor at Holland & Knight. I've been with the firm for the past 20 years, representing transit agencies and local governments before our federal government. Prior to that, I spent 4.5 years in a former Florida Republican congressman's office, so I come with a Florida congressional background experience. And I'm joined with I co-lead HART's team currently, and I joined here with Carl Koch, who's one of our co-leaders. And then also remotely, we have Jeff Booth with Booth Transit Consultants, who are part of your federal team in Washington, D.C. Just a couple of things about us. As the governor just explained, we are a premier lobbying group with extensive transit and infrastructure background. In fact, we don't do it just in Florida, we do it nationwide. And I think that's what makes us a different lobbying team than others that you'll hear from today, is that we have this nationwide focus. In fact, we represent more than 24 transit agencies and transit-related projects across the country, combined with Booth Transit Consulting Services. So not just in Florida, I also represent the Jacksonville Transportation Authority, but in North Carolina, Ohio, Michigan, Arizona, California, you name it, we're working on those projects. We're advocating on behalf of transit every single day. In fact, Jeff Booth, he runs the Capital Investments Working Group, which, as you know, FTA has the Capital Investments Grant Program that helps capital infrastructure projects like bus rapid transit, streetcar, light rail, and commuter rail. I myself also run the ACES Mobility Coalition in Washington, D.C., which is helping expand the reach of public transportation through shared autonomous vehicles. So I like to say, not only are our clients multimodal, Holland & Knight is multimodal too. Our approach for HART, we're going to continue to do what we can to take the Integrated Services Campus and build upon the build grant we received for HART back in January of 2025. We do this through 3 ways. One, we have a team-based approach. We have a dedicated team that you see before you today, but we have the resources of a large firm standing behind us. That includes over 150 public policy experts and professionals in our Washington, D.C. office. It includes 6 former members of Congress, 2 of them Florida congressmen. You all know Jim Davis and Ron Klein, but also 2 National Republican Congressional Committee chairmen, Tom Davis and Tom Reynolds. And Congressman Tom Reynolds served upstate New York and was a mentor to the incoming FTA nominee, Mark Molinaro. So we enjoy having great relationships to back up our experience that we have. We take a full service approach. We like to be comprehensive and creative and collaborative. Examples of this is truly with how we put together our lobbying advocacy strategy to get that $23.4 million for the heavy maintenance facility in January. We worked collaboratively with HART's amazing staff who were so dedicated in working and putting together a great application. We were creative in utilizing annual conferences that were coming to Hillsborough, like NACO last July, our National League of Cities in November, to bring the right DOT officials that were attending those conferences to come and tour the heavy maintenance facility so that they could go back and really understand what we were trying to do here and what we're accomplishing and that the people who we're serving. Building off of that too, we had Mr. Drainville coming to DC and meeting with the right staff. That all combined identified HART's heavy maintenance facility as a project of merit. Had we not gotten that distinction, we would not have been awarded that 23.4 million in January. And we would have had to wait another year's cycle to get into the game to get that money. We're so proud, and this is just a quick overview. I mean, we're representing clients nationwide, almost $1 billion in Tiger, Raise, and Build grants, over 250 million in bus and bus facilities in Lono. We know these programs. And this is our record of successes for HART. In the time that we've been working and representing with HART, we have almost over $100 million in grants secured for HART. And that even includes a period of time where we were operating under the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Bill, MAP 21, where there were no competitive grant programs to even apply for, nor was there community project funding. IIJA changed that. We have a Congress right now that's considering the next Surface Transportation Reauthorization Bill because the IIJA expires in 2026. We're already having those meetings with committee staff, with your delegation, and ensuring that our priorities for HART are heard as they rework the legislation in the coming years. I'm going to turn it over to Kim Case, who is HART's current state lead.
Thank you, Lisa. It's an honor to be with you today. I'm Kimberly Case, part of your state advocacy team. Also with us via WebEx is Mark Delegal, and you've already heard from Governor Bob Martinez. We've had the privilege of representing HART at the state level for the past 7 years, advocating for HART's priorities in the legislative and executive branches of state government. One of our top priorities has been to help HART strengthen its relationship with the Hillsborough legislative delegation, with legislative leaders, with the governor's office, as well as with the governor's office and FDOT. And we've done that through in-person meetings in Tallahassee, as well as in legislators' district offices. We've also done it through tours of HART's operations, as well as the development of highly effective support material that outlines HART's objectives and goals for servicing this area. We especially appreciate the willingness of CEO Drainville, Chair Vieira, Director King, and other members who have come to Tallahassee many, many times to have those conversations with key decision makers whenever we needed it. And frankly, as a direct result of all those efforts I just outlined, we're seeing success. For example, in 2023, when legislation was filed that would have directed FDOT to study the dissolution of HART or the merger of HART with another transit agency, we quickly mobilized and had multiple meetings with key decision makers in Tallahassee. We expressed to them our willingness to have transparency at HART and showed a willingness to work closely with them to make any changes that were needed. As a direct result of those advocacy efforts, the bill was amended, and the bill that was passed focused more on identifying ways to enhance the structure of HART and improve efficiencies. When the final report came out, it was relatively positive, actually. It showed that HART is effective, even though it is underfunded. It shows that HART does more with less. And it also showed that HART's maintenance facility was in desperate need of a new campus, the Integrated Services Campus. And we've pointed to that report. I know CEO Drainville we had a one-pager that we literally took the report around. We met with legislators to show we're doing more with less, we're good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and we need your help. Really? Wow. Okay. I'm so sorry. Well, we look forward to continuing to work with you and build upon your success. It would be an honor to continue working with you. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board members, and staff. We want to thank you for allowing Shoemaker to make a presentation to you this morning. My name is Les Miller. I'm Executive Vice President and Principal for Local Practice here in the Tampa Hillsborough office. I'm also a former member and chair of the HART Board of Directors. Leading our Florida office is Ron Cristaldi, President and CEO of Shoemaker Advisors, is a nationally recognized business lawyer and proven leader who chairs the Tampa Economic Development and Council on Leadership Florida and previously chaired the Tampa Bay Chamber. His expertise and vision are key strengths for our team. I'd like to introduce my colleagues who are here with us this morning. Honorable Sandra Merman, Executive Vice President and Principal Local Practice in our Tampa Hillsborough office and a former member of this Board of Directors of HART. And J.D. White, Principal who works with us at Washington, D.C. office. Also supposed to be with us this morning is Alan Susky, who is Vice President and Principal of State Practice in our Tallahassee office. But as you all know, the legislature is back in session to deal with the budget, and he's up there doing the work for his clients at this critical point in time. Shoemaker Advisor provides access to a network of elected officials, government entities, and industry leaders that help clients build their community's presence and navigate local, state, and national politics. We effectively represent clients at all levels of government and using a bipartisan approach and our extensive connections. We're excited to bring a new, fresh perspective and for the opportunity for you to get to know Shoemaker Advisors and why we are the best partners for this project. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. We look forward to working closely with each and every one of you. And at this time, I'd like to bring forth J.D. White to talk about our federal expertise.
Good morning, board members. J.D. White, it's great to be here with you today. I'm here to highlight Shoemaker's federal practice, led from D.C. and then closely aligned here locally. Shoemaker has an experienced team based in D.C. and supported by my role here in Tampa, where I provide local, on-the-ground expertise to ensure alignment of your federal priorities. Simply put, you have both a local expert and a permanent team in D.C. Before joining Shoemaker, I was Chief of Staff for a member of the House Transportation and Appropriations Committee, where I worked on transportation policy, decisions involving funding and infrastructure for highways, bridges, railways, transit systems, and airports. We helped shape federal funding priorities for the Federal Highway Administration, FAA, and FTA. Locally, I also led the All for Transportation campaign and worked with PSTA on their Sunrunner program. Our DC team also brings strong credentials in transit. For example, my colleague served as Chief of Staff, working closely with the Toledo Port Authority. His former boss is now chairman of a key and important committee, the House Energy and Commerce Committee. And another colleague of mine was a legislative assistant to a Georgia senator who was instrumental in transportation policy and bringing appropriations to the state. Our DC team has represented the Toledo Transit Authority and currently advocates on behalf of the American Towmen's Alliance. Our relationships in Washington run very deep with the DOT, including his Secretary Duffy's Chief of Staff, Pete Meacham, giving us direct access to key decision makers at US DOT. We maintain strong relationships with the members of the Florida delegation on those important transportation committees, including chairman and ranking members, and our Florida delegation with Congressman Webster, Mass, Petronas, Wilson, Rutherford. They should all be supportive of HART's priorities, and we'll work to make sure that they are. So now let's talk about how we will accomplish your funding objectives. We know securing additional funding, just looking at your budget today, is critical to meeting your long-term needs. Our approach focuses on aligning HART's priorities, especially with the operation and maintenance facility, with existing federal, state, and local funding options. For federal funding, we would deploy a three-pronged approach: grants, community project requests, and partnership opportunities. As you know, the DOT has more than 30 competitive and formula-based grant opportunities. We need to make sure that we are leaning in and expanding the number of grants we apply for and using our congressional delegation to make sure we win those grants. The new administration also, you will see funding for transportation fundamentally shift under Trump 2.0. We need to make sure that HART is at the table and competing for that new funding as the reauthorization goes through. In addition to grants, Shoemaker will help obtain community project funding, formerly called earmarks. You probably heard the congressional directing spending is a way for our local members of Congress to support HART in capital our operational needs. We've successfully obtained over $20 million in congressional directed spending for our clients here in Tampa Bay. And then finally, we'll turn to innovative partnerships with national organizations to help fulfill your mission. Several foundations support transit programs, especially those focused on vulnerable populations. Private companies also partner with transit agencies to offer new service and transit innovation. Shoemaker's clients, business Rolodex, and personal relationships will all be utilized to assist HART in critically and creatively achieving your funding goals. Now I'm going to turn it over to Sandy for her state and local strategy.
Thank you all, and good morning. Thank you for allowing us to come here today. Our state strategy for HART is built on leadership relationships, which is a clear advantage for Tampa Bay and Shoemaker. Alan Susky works directly with the House Budget Chair, Lawrence McClure, which you know is from this area, and TED Chair, Jason Shope, and has over a decade of experience with Senate Appropriations Chair Ed Hooper from Pinellas and TED Chair Nick DeSigley. With Tampa Bay well represented on key transportation and funding committees, we feel now is the time to act. Our state team also has direct access to the governor's chief of staff, Jason Wida, his deputies, and senior FDOT leadership, all key to shaping the state budget. A recent example of our effectiveness is the $120 million terminal at the Sarasota Regional Airport that Shoemaker Advisors helped get funding for. That project included $66 million in FAA funding and $33 million from the state budget, where we coordinated the legislative support needed to complete the project. We are confident in our ability to deliver similar results for HART. So what does success look like for HART at the local and regional level? We understand funding for HART is a top priority. It was as I sat on this board, especially with the development of the new operations and maintenance facility. We've secured financial support for major infrastructure projects and transportation needs. And our strategy is to build a funding plan informed by discussions with local governments and grounded in real opportunities, including expanded community investment tax funds from Tampa and Hillsborough County, public-private partnership to attract business investments, like our relationship right now that Shoemaker has with Brightline, CRA funding from Ybor City for redevelopment of the maintenance facility, a development of a community advisory task force to advocate for HART and their priorities every step of the way. Opportunities from the recent $700 million award to Hillsborough County for transit access and ridership improvements. That money was for emergency relief. As a former Hillsborough County Commissioner and HART board member, I've worked with the CIT and Ybor CRA to secure funding for critical infrastructure. In the legislature, I secured millions for the Transportation Disadvantage Program, as well as on the county commission. That program is near and dear to my heart, as I had a brother-in-law who was disadvantaged. And I understand how to align these proposals with the county and CRA priorities, navigate the approval process, and build consensus among our local leaders. I've also helped secure funds from tourist development tax revenues, general funds, impact fees, and the list goes on. With firsthand knowledge of HART's financial landscape, which Les and I do, I'm confident we can build a funding package that earns broad support and delivers results for HART. The main differentiator, though, for Shoemaker Advisors team for working for HART is our firm is, of course, this year we celebrate our 100-year anniversary, and it's our strong local and regional presence built on a foundation of public service. Though our firm is 100 years old, we have over 110 years of combined elective experience in Shoemaker Advisors. We bring an unmatched track record of securing transit funding. Les Miller and I both served as county commissioners, state legislators, and HART board members, giving us firsthand
Oh,
knowledge
and
of HART's
I
budget.
think your time's up, I think, correct? Okay, thank you. If you want to finish up your sentence, you may. Go ahead.
Can I do that?
Yeah, go ahead and finish up the sentence.
I do want to thank you all for your
Mhm.
attention. And I just want to say that this is personal to us. We serve here, we live here, and we deeply care about
And
strengthening
Thank
public
you.
transit.
And I
in
don't
our
want to give you
region.
more time than the other folks got, so
Okay,
I want to
good.
be careful. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Commissioner.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all
ma'am.
very much. We look forward to your questions.
We appreciate you. Okay, now is time for board member discussions and questions, and Board Member Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to ask staff to come back up because I want to make sure I have our numbers right on the, what was bidded. I don't remember, yes. Hi.
Hi.
Can you put your
Kathy.
first slide back up? I think on what each presentation on the cost. And Mr. Chair, after we finish this, I'm going to have to leave. I've already missed one board meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
And no, it's, yes. Okay, so when we look at, thank you so much. When we look at this and we look at what's the cost of the three proposals, and I want to say that want to thank all three firms for making an excellent presentation. And today, each of you all could do the work, but only one has to be chosen today, okay? So in fairness to all, I appreciate the proposal, but when we always look at HART and look at our funding, when we look at Holiday and Night, we look at 792,000, am I correct?
That's correct, over
Okay.
a 5-year period.
Yes, so
Mhm.
over that period, and we look at what in Great Robinson, 795,000, and Shoemaker Advisors, 717,000. Well, it's a saving. I won't say it's a savings, but when we look at the reduction of the cost between the other two, for Holland and Knight, it's a difference between Shoemaker and Holland and Knight, 75,000. Great Robinson is $78,000. And we know where we sit as HART as a board. We're always talking about funding. And again, all three can provide the services, give the legal ramification of what we would need. Each one can do that. That's not a question. Okay. But I'm going to make the motion for, based on our funding and where we are as HART and where we're always looking for how could we save on additional dollars. And again, I'm going to keep saying that all three can provide the services. Only one should be chosen today. I'm going to make a motion for Shoemaker Advisors based on their proposals submitted to us, that they be awarded the contract.
Do we have a second? Okay. Okay, we have a second. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for Shoemaker by Board Member Myers, seconded by Board Member Knight. So we can continue to, let's continue to discuss our options, obviously. But that'll be the first motion that goes forward. Who else would like to speak? Board Member Cepeda, go ahead.
I have a question. So on the technical scores, since Holland and Knight did score the highest on that, could you just briefly go over the technical scores and what the differences were basically on that?
Yeah, so the technical, and first of all, let me just say that this is a best value procurement. So that's who we want to award to the firm that presents the best value, price and technical considerations, and do trade-offs if there's any trade-offs that would cause somebody that maybe is not less in price to become the best value. So I'll just say that. But your question again was on the Holland and Knight pricing.
The technical score?
Oh, the technical score. So there was, again, a committee of three people in the evaluation committee. We had one board member and 2 HART staff. And there was the breakdown of, there was 4 technical evaluation criteria: the qualifications, experience, project approach, and their current load. And so points was assigned by the committee members at 100 points. 100 points was the maximum. So they was assigned points based on just their technical evaluation, what they was included in their proposal.
And you said loads, current loads? Is that what you said, current loads?
Yes,
Current
yes, yes. The last criteria was current and projected workloads of the firm, and that was worth 20 points.
Okay. I mean, they're all 3 really great. I mean, they really are. Then you have to look at, of course, the technical scores. Then, of course, as Commissioner Myers just mentioned, overall cost. With Holland and Knight, they do have already proven they've been able to get HART over $100 million in funding. I thought that was a big plus. Shoemaker is awesome that they've had over 100 years anniversary right now, but so has Holland and Knight. Been around for many, many years as well. So those are the things I was thinking about between the 2, although all 3 are really great. But the thing with the Holland Knights, they've already been able to get us over 100 million to HART. So these are just some of my thoughts that I'm thinking about going through right now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I have here in the order of hands I've seen Miller, Hobbs, Schisler, King. Board Member Miller, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to each firm who presented today. I appreciated it. I want you all to know, I'm sure, like myself, many others did our homework in researching this. My question also is going back to the technical scores. Would you agree that there's probably room for bias in there? So the vote is ours, but the score
Right.
could be determined.
I'd like to think not, because they're supposed to, the committee is to evaluate the proposals for the contents, not what they know that they've done, but the contents of their proposals.
Okay. Thank you for answering my
Mhm.
question. I think I'm just going to say that I'm going to be going with the way it was presented to me, because each firm is clearly packed with powerhouses on them. So making these decisions going to be a challenge, I'm sure, for many of us in this room. So I'm going to just leave it there.
Thank you, ma'am. Board Member Hobbs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This mechanic, I'd like to speak whenever it's my turn.
Yes, sir. Board Member, you'll go after King. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And yes, thank you to all of you for presenting. I appreciate it very much. In my past life, I used to be on that side, so I know what it's like coming and presenting to a board like this. But I just wanted to get a quick clarification. So I know that the total amount at the top is if we do both one-year extensions, if I'm reading this correctly. So what we are actually obligated to pay for this time is the 3-year base term, is what this contract is, and then with the 2 one-year extensions, if I'm reading this correct. Is that right?
I'm sorry, is that 3-year base?
Yeah, so the
And
3-year
then
base is what we're actually contractually obligating ourselves to, correct? And then we have the options for the extensions. Is that
Right.
correct?
We'll ask for the board to consider and approve all
An
5
extension.
years, but the option years may or may not be exercised.
So at the 3-year mark, we will then be able to reevaluate if we feel the need to. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can do that.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Board Member Schisler, then King, then Mechanic. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Having served on the ad hoc committee, to everybody's point, it was tough because there was these three stuck out much better than any of the others. Excuse me. And yeah, I feel strongly all three ways. But in my personal evaluation, I looked at who got us where we are, who can bring us what we really need. And then there was locals who've been on this board with Mr. Miller and Ms. Merman in the past. I don't even know how to begin to say which is the best. The 75,000 differential in the overall cost is a big factor, but so is also getting up to speed and lost momentum in what we're doing and where we are and where we need to be. We have significant issues that we need to address in the next year and a half, and who's better prepared, not capable, prepared, currently prepared and on the track to getting us where we need to be. And I don't have any recommendations other than all three of them are good. So just my thoughts.
Thank you, sir. Board Member King, then Mechanic. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Just as a matter of clarification, the scoring process was based on objective criteria, was it not?
It's always subjective.
Subjective.
Yes.
Was
yes.
there any objective consideration for how they okay, you answered my question. Thank you. None of this affects what Gray Robinson does for us currently through Jan McLean and company.
It is my belief not, but I would.
It does not. Okay. All right. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Board Member Mechanic, go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to give a big speech here, but I just feel as if, well, let me back up. All three firms are well qualified to do this work. They're all extremely impressive, and I'm sure they all could do a good job for us. My only concern is that we have had Holland and Knight for many years, and they've done an excellent job. And I just don't see any good reason to change horses midstream, not when we're in the middle of what I consider to be a crisis here at the agency. I think that given the technical score, the price differential is essentially not a material factor for us, and I am planning to support Holland and Knight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak before I go?
Chair, I call the question.
I
call the question.
Okay, I'd like to speak before that though, but yeah, but anyone else? Okay, I always go last, so that's why I say that just traditionally. Okay, great. And I wanted to thank all the firms for coming here. I mean, it's, all three, not just amazing firms, but really amazing presentations. I mean, all three were really great, and picking between all y'all three, it's like picking between, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, and Lou Gehrig. So, good luck with that, right? But for me, there are some issues that do make it, for me, more compelling for one rather than the other. I have the unique point that I think governs how I'm going to go on this, which is two things, which is things that I, among others, Board Member Schisler, a Mechanic, and others have said, which is on the changing horses in midstream type of an issue. I do think this is a very critical point for HART, but my unique perspective to this comes as a chairman of HART now for 3 years, where I've worked with the incumbent, Holland and Knight, on a number of issues. And so having done that, for me to change at this time, that there would have to be a very high standard for that one that, in my opinion, with all due respect to, again, to Mickey Mantle and Lou Gehrig, is not met at all. That in no way obviously is any detrimental remark to the other firms, to Shoemaker and Gray Robinson. I have to say I have immense respect for them is quite the understatement. A lot of amazing people there. So for me, that will define my vote. And that's a very compelling issue. I think that we're at a very critical time right now. The job that they've done, and just no need to change. It's a high standard to me that I just, with the greatest amount of respect and care, I don't believe it's been met. It can't be met under the circumstances, I feel. So with that, we have a motion on the floor by Board Member Myers, seconded by Board Member Knight for Shoemaker Partners and Law Firm. And unless if there's any further discussion, we'll vote if we may.
Director Cameron Cepeda,
No.
Director Henderson,
No.
Director Hobbs,
No.
Director King,
No.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
No.
Director Miller,
No.
Director Myers,
Yes.
Director Niebrick,
No.
Director Schisler,
No.
Chair Vieira.
A very respectful no.
Motion does not pass.
Okay, Board, is there any other motion anyone would like to make for?
I'll move approval of Collin and Knight.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Mechanic, seconded by Board Member King. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Director Cameron Cepeda,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
No.
Director Myers,
No.
Director Niebrick,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Vieira.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And for our council, we've done everything we needed to do. Approve anything further. No magic words to be said.
Correct. That's sufficient.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, Board. Next, we have item 5, the Basic Transit Infrastructure BTI update. Mr. Drainville, if you would like to introduce this.
So
or-
I would ask you if we could postpone the
Okay,
BTI to the next
absolutely.
meeting and then postpone my CEO to informational.
Absolutely.
And move right on to the meeting.
Yes, sir. Great. So if I may, we're going to move that item to the following month. And we'll go to the chair report. I really don't think I have anything at all. I think I don't. The only thing I would say is that CEO Drainville and I were speaking this morning on having another employee town hall, probably in July. So everybody would be welcome to come, obviously. And we'll properly notice it to be consistent with law and all that good stuff. Next is our HART Board Council. Ms. McLean, go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could I just check on the number of, if we have a quorum? I see 1, 3, 4,
Probably
5. Do we just have?
We lost 2.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we lost 1, 2 temporarily, 1 permanently,
Okay.
or whatever. Yeah.
Let me start. I can start with my report on an item that doesn't require any action. I apologize. So there was a clarification that I wanted to bring to the board regarding an action that the Finance Committee had voted to recommend to the board, and then the subsequent board action that was taken in May. At the April committee meeting, the Finance Committee voted to recommend the HART Board of Directors authorize the CEO to award a contract to Communications International for P25 radio communication system hardware in an amount of $3,692,871 and a 5-year warranty and support agreement in an amount of $506,011 for a total not to exceed of $4,198,882. That was at the Finance Committee. Subsequently, at the May Board Committee, the HART Board was asked to approve a resolution that, and let me just make sure that I'm emphasizing, that was a recommendation by the committee to the board at a not to exceed value of $198,882. So subsequently at the board meeting, the board was asked to approve a resolution for equipment that did not reflect the inclusion of $73,697.55. So it was a lesser amount that the board approved. And just to make sure that there is a paper trail and to reflect what the committee recommended, which is always a recommendation to the board. Subsequently, we had looked at this, and the staff will most likely return with to the Finance Committee and ask for their approval and recommendation to send to this board the remainder of the equipment and the support warranty that was not included in the resolution that was approved in May. So you would end up having the total that was recommended by your Finance Committee back in April, back in front of you, but in a second part. So just to make that understanding, because if there was any issue in anybody's mind as to why there was a difference in what the Finance Committee had recommended and what the board approved, that was the paper trail. So I wanted to make sure that that was on the record. If anybody has any questions about it, I'll be glad to answer that, or staff is here that could answer it as well.
Any questions?
Okay. Then moving on, I want to make sure 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait a minute, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I have a quorum. The second part of my report is to return to you with the pieces of the charter revision that we had discussed last meeting that were all approved, but one was approved in concept with regard to language. So I will be brief, but I want to be clear because this is an important decision that the board is making. You all received materials in your agenda, which had a draft of the charter revisions with highlights on them, which would be the final language that would be moving forward in this package.
Thanks.
And let me just go through them rapidly so everybody understands what they are considering for approval. First, there is a new whereas clause, and that's a procedural thing. That was also in there when we discussed it at the last meeting. In Article 4, this is the approval and concept, where what we did was the board directed me to provide language which would leave the number of the board at 15. So the board representation would be based on the current 150,000 as it is right now. However, at the time, if the charter revisions pass, then the population increment would increase to 250 so that your board would remain at 15 and grow more slowly. That was the discussion that was had, and the language that is there in your draft states upon the effective date of the Second Amendment, without reducing the number of members comprising the board on that date, the population increment on which to calculate members' additional directors shall be 250,000 persons or a major fraction thereof, resident in that member's jurisdictional limits. And I hope that language reflects the direction that the board provided to me at the last month. Okay, is there any questions? Nope. I would request a motion to approve this language, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Board Member King motion, seconded by?
Second.
Board Member Schisler. Unless there's any discussion, roll call, please.
Director Cameron Cepeda,
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Board Member Niebrick?
just want to clarify, we're going through each of these changes. The motion is for this first change regarding the board composition, and then we'll go through the committee assignments and the other things as separate matters.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct? Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Director Cameron Sapita,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Myers, Director Niebrick,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Vieira.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I'm going to move right along. The next highlight that's in your draft was actually already voted on and approved, and there is no change to that language. This is the paragraph which was aspirational. Each member is encouraged when appointing its representatives to the director to acknowledge the commitment to attend meetings to ensure the board can achieve the required quorum to take action and to participate on at least one committee of the board. The members, when appointing representatives, shall also consider qualifications such as our relevant subject matter to expertise of the proposed directors that would assist the authority in accomplishing its obligations, directives, and goals. There was a motion and there was a vote taken on this language, so I'm not asking for, and there's been no change. So I'm just calling that out. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, so we wanted to, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to say that it's not like required or mandatory for that, right?
In
That's
this-
the language, because we didn't want to have that in the language, right?
In this section, there is no mandatory. In the next section, I'm going to
Okay, yes.
point that out.
Thank you, thank you.
So I can move on to the next
Go
section?
ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next section is the one I think in which the concern was raised, and that's in Article 5, Composition and Organization of the Authority. In Section 2, this is the new language that says, and I'm just going to read in part instead of the whole thing. Each director shall serve at least one term on a standing committee. The members of the committee shall elect a chair and vice chair of the committee. It was brought to my attention that it might be internally inconsistent with the paragraph that we just read out as far as the consideration of should be included on one committee. And so I wanted to bring this back. Chair Schisler, if you wanted to take it from here.
If I may, what would it take to change that to encouraged or should, or would it take just inclusion in the motion for this?
We would just, yes, if someone would.
Okay, then I
make
would
a-
like to move that we change the word shall to encouraged or should, whichever is more palatable.
We
Just-
have this. I'm sorry. Oh,
No,
go
no,
ahead.
no, I'm not sure the procedural way to handle that, but I'd like to recommend that change to that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Board Member Niebrick. I thought one of our very, very hardworking county commissioners who are so busy would second that because I know you guys are very stretched. So
I'm glad
any,
to withdraw it if you want to.
oh, no, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. Please. I'm just saying, I know they're very busy. It goes without saying. So unless there's any discussion, roll call, please.
Could I just clarify?
Yes, ma'am.
What the language is that we are changing it to, so it shall, sorry, no pun intended. Each director should serve at least. Shall we go with that, or are we going to each director is encouraged to serve? I need to know.
Encouraged, yeah.
I like encouraged.
So it will read, each director is encouraged to serve.
Okay, unless if there's any further comments or discussion, roll call, please.
Director Cameron Sapita,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Niebrick,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Vieira.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then on, oh, there's no page numbers. I apologize. Section 2,
And if I may, I just wanted to say I have to leave in 5 minutes.
I can go
So
like
just, I hate to say
like
that.
an auctioneer. I can go really fast. Special regional taxation has already been increased and approved and voted on by this board into the cap of 1 mil. So there's no reconsideration there unless a board member wants to bring that up, but I don't have that for anything. And then just to point out, but it's procedural, well, it's not. Appendix A was revised to reflect a 15-member board in the breakdown of the votes and numbers of members that are needed to pass a vote. And that was changed because of the reflection of the membership representation. So if I could have a motion to approve the charter revisions as they are presented to you today in the draft of June 2nd to put together to move forward. Director Schisler, if you wanted to take it from here, but that's what I would need to bring this to bed.
Well, Chairman of the Ad hoc Committee, I move to, for the approval of the charter review revisions as approved by the board votes to move forward with the other, presented to the other governing bodies.
We have a motion by Board Member Schisler, seconded by Board Member Knight. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Director Cameron Sapita,
Yes.
Director Henderson,
Yes.
Director Hobbs,
Yes.
Director King,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director Mechanic,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Niebrick,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Vieira.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have HART Board Committee reports are in section 9. Reports from HART Board of Representatives are in section 10, information reports, and 11. Is there any old business or new business? Okay. And I also want to recognize our MIC to our Rocky Balboa at the Transit Rodeo who's here, Mr. David Santos, who's a good guy. He helped coach. He's a good guy and a great heart worker. And with that, we adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work in this good meeting. Thank you.